Hey friends! Here we are again with second part of 6th class of Preschool. So today we'll learn some more thing about margin trading 101 to understand how your margin account works. So let's start the session. First I'll let you know about what does margin call level or margin call mean? In Forex trading, the margin call level is when the margin level has reached a specific level or threshold. When this threshold is reached, you are in danger of the possibility of having some or all of your positions forcibly closed, or liquidated. The margin level is the metric and the margin call level is a specific value of the metric, which is the margin level. For example, some Forex brokers have a margin call level of 100%. In the specific example above, if the margin level in your account falls to 100% or lower, a margin call will occur. What is a margin call? A margin call is when your broker notifies you that your margin level has fallen below the required minimum level, the margin call level. This notification used to be an actual phone call, but nowadays, it's usually an email or text message. Regardless of how you're actually notified, the feeling isn't great. You can see here what it feels like to receive a margin call. A margin call occurs when your floating losses are greater than your used margin. This means that your equity is less than your used margin, since floating losses reduces your equity. Let's discuss margin call level versus margin call. Traders tend to get confused between a margin call level and margin call. A margin call level is a threshold set by your broker that will trigger a margin call. It is a specific percentage, value of the margin level. For example, when the margin level is 100%. A margin call is an event. When a margin call occurs, your broker takes some sort of action. Usually, the action is to send a notification. This event only occurs when the margin level falls below a certain value. This value is the margin call level. Think about boiling water. For water to normally boil, the temperature must reach 100 degrees Celsius. The margin level is equivalent to temperature. Temperature can vary and can be any number like 0 degrees Celsius, 47 degrees Celsius, 89 degrees Celsius, etc. The margin call level is equivalent to 100 degrees Celsius, which is a specific temperature. A margin call is equivalent to water boiling, the event when the liquid changes into a vapor. Let's take an example margin call level at 100%. Let's say your Forex broker has a margin call level at 100%. This means that your trading platform will send you a warning notification if your margin level reaches 100%. Margin call level equals to margin level at 100%. Aside from receiving a notification, your trading will also be affected. If your account's margin level reaches 100%, you will not be able to open any new positions, you can only close existing positions. A margin call level at 100% means that your equity is equal to or lower than your used margin. This occurs because you have opened positions whose floating losses continue to increase. Let's say you have a $1,000 account and you open a US dollar to Swiss franc position with one mini lot, or you can say 10,000 units that has a $200 required margin. Since you only have one position open, used margin will also be $200, same as required margin. You can see all this scenario by below graph. At this point, you still suck at trading, so right away, your trade quickly starts losing. It's losing big time. You really suck at trading. You're now down 800 pips. At $1/pip, this means you have a floating loss of $800. This means your equity is now $200. Equity equals to balance plus floating profit and loss, so see the below calculation. Your margin level is now 100%. Margin level equals to equity divided by used margin, multiply by 100%. You can get better understanding by below graph. Once the margin level reaches 100%, you will not be able to open any new positions unless first scenario is the market reverses back in your favor. And second is your equity becomes greater than your used margin. If first scenario doesn't happen, then second is only possible if you deposit more funds into your account. Close out existing positions. The account will be unable to open any new positions until the margin level increases to a level above 100%. See what happens if your sucky trade continues to go against you? If this happens, once your margin level falls further to another specific level, then the broker will be forced to close your position. The other specific level is known as the stop-out level and varies by broker. If a margin call event is the equivalent of water boiling, a stop-out event is the equivalent of being burned by the boiling water. Let's now discuss what a stop-out level is in further detail. So let me tell you, what does stop-out level or stop-out mean? The stop-out level is similar to the margin call level that was covered in the previous lesson, except that it's much worse. In Forex trading, a stop-out level is when your margin level falls to a specific percentage level in which one or all of your open positions are closed automatically, liquidated, by your broker. This liquidation happens because the trading account can no longer support the open positions due to lack of margin. More specifically, the stop-out level is when the equity is lower than a specific percentage of your used margin. If this level is reached, your broker will automatically start closing out your trades, starting with the most unprofitable one until your margin level is back above the stop-out level. If your margin level is at or below the stop-out level, the broker will close any or all of your open positions as quickly as possible in order to protect you from possibly incurring further losses. This act of closing your positions is called a stop-out. Keep in mind that a stop-out is not discretionary. Once the liquidation process has started, it is usually not possible to stop it since the process is automated. The stop-out level is also known as the margin closeout value, liquidation margin, or minimum required margin. Let's take an example when stop-out level at 20%. Let's say your Forex broker has a stop-out level at 20%. This means that your trading platform will automatically close your position if your margin level reaches 20%. Stop-out level equals to margin level at 20%. Let's continue with the example from the previous lesson. What is a margin call level? You've already received a margin call when the margin level had reached 100% but still decide not to deposit more funds because you think the market will turn. Not only are you a sucky trader, but you're a crazy trader also. A sucky crazy trader. Anyways, your sucky crazy self ends up absolutely wrong. The market continues to fall. You're now down 960 pips. At $1/pip, you now have a floating loss of $960. As per below calculation, your equity is now $40. Equity equals to balance plus floating profit and loss. As per below calculation, your margin level is now 20%. Margin level equals to equity divided by used margin, multiplied by 100%. At this point, your position will be automatically closed, liquidated. When your position is closed, the used margin that was locked up will be released. It will become free margin. Your floating loss of $960 will be realized, and your new balance will be $40. Since you don't have any open trades, your equity and free margin will also be $40. If you had multiple positions open, the broker usually closes the least profitable position first. Each position that is closed releases used margin, which increases your margin level. But if closing this position is still not enough to get back the margin level above 20%, your broker will continue to close positions until it does. The stop-out level is meant to prevent you from losing more money than you have deposited. So let's move on from here and discuss about trading scenario when margin call level at 100% and no separate stop-out level. Let's now take all the margin jargon you've learned from the previous lessons and apply them by looking at trading scenarios with different margin call and stop-out levels. Different retail Forex brokers and CFD providers have different margin call policies. Some only operate with margin calls, while others define separate margin call and stop-out levels. In this lesson, we will go through a real-life trading scenario where you are using a broker that only operates with a margin call. The broker defines its margin call level at 100% and has no separate stop-out level. See what happens to your margin account when you're in a trade that goes terribly wrong? Let's go find out. Step 1. Deposit funds into trading account. Let's say you have an account balance of $1,000. This is how it'd look in your trading account. Step 2 is calculate required margin. You want to go long euro to US dollar at 1.15000 and want to open a 1 mini lot, 10,000 units, position. The margin requirement is 2%. How much margin, required margin, will you need to open the position? Since euro is the base currency, this mini lot is 10,000 euros, which means the position's notional value is 10,000 euros. Since our trading account is denominated in USD, we need to convert the value of the euro to US dollar to determine the notional value of the trade. $1.15 equals to 1 euro. So $11,500 equals to 10,000 euros. The notional value is $11,500. Now we can calculate the required margin. Required margin equals to notional value multiplied by margin requirement. Assuming your trading account is denominated in USD, since the margin requirement is 2%, the required margin will be $230. Step 3 is calculate used margin. Aside from the trade we just entered, there aren't any other trades open. Since we just have a single position open, the used margin will be the same as required margin. Step 4 is calculate equity. Let's assume that the price has moved slightly in your favor and your position is now trading at break-even. This means that your floating PL is $0. Let's calculate your equity. Equity equals to balance plus floating profits, or losses. The equity in your account is now $1,000. Step 5 is calculate free margin. Now that we know the equity, we can now calculate the free margin. Free margin equals to equity minus used margin. So now the free margin is $770. Step 6 is calculate margin level. Now that we know the equity, we can now calculate the margin level. Margin level equals to equity divided by used margin, multiplied by 100%. So now the margin level is 435%. To get better understanding, see the below figure. Let's assume euro to US dollar drops 500 pips. There are reports of a zombie outbreak in Paris. Euro to US dollar falls 500 pips and is now trading at 1.10000. Let's see the below figure how your account is affected. Let's discuss now about used margin. You'll notice that the used margin has changed. Because the exchange rate has changed, the notional value of the position has changed. This requires recalculating the required margin. Whenever there's a change in the price for euro to US dollar, the required margin changes. With euro USD now trading at 1.1000, instead of 1.15000, let's see how much required margin is needed to keep the position open. Since our trading account is denominated in USD, we need to convert the value of the euro to US dollar to determine the notional value of the trade. $1.10 equals to 1 euro. $11,000 equals to 10,000 euros. The notional value is $11,000. Previously, the notional value was $11,500. Since euro USD has fallen, this means that euro has weakened. And since your account is denominated in USD, this causes the position's notional value to decrease. Now we can calculate the required margin. Required margin equals to notional value multiplied by margin requirement. $220 equals to $11,000 multiplied by 0.02. Notice that because the notional value has decreased, so has the required margin. Floating profit and loss. Euro USD has fallen from 1.15000 to 1.10000, a difference of 500 pips. Since you're trading one mini lot, a 1 pip move equals $1. This means that you have a floating loss of $500 as per the below calculation. Floating profit and loss equals to current price minus entry price, multiplied by 10,000 multiplied by $x/pip. Let's move to equity. Your equity is now $500 as per the below calculation. Equity equals balance plus floating PL. Free margin. Your free margin is now $280 as per the below calculation. Free margin equals to equity minus used margin. Margin level. Your margin level has decreased to 227% as per below calculation. Margin level equals to equity divided by used margin, multiplied by 100. Your margin level is still above 100%, so all is still well. This is how your account metrics would look in your trading platform. So let's assume now euro to US dollar drops another 288 pips. Euro USD falls another 288 pips and is now trading at 1.07120. For better understanding, see the below figure. Used margin. With Euro USD now trading at 1.07120, instead of 1.10000, Let's see how much required margin is needed to keep the position open. Since our trading account is denominated in USD, we need to convert the value of the euro to USD to determine the notional value of the trade. $1.07120 equals to 1 euro. $10,712 equals to 10,000 euros. The notional value is $10,712. Now we can calculate the required margin. Required margin equals to notional value multiplied by margin requirement. Notice that because the notional value has decreased, so has the required margin. Since the margin requirement is 2%, the required margin will be $214. In this example, since you only have one position open, the used margin will be equal to the new required margin. Floating profit and loss. Euro to US dollar has now fallen from 1.15000 to 1.07120, a difference of 788 pips. Since you're trading one mini lot, a 1 pip move equals $1. This means that you have a floating loss of $788 as per below calculation. Let's discuss equity. Your equity is now $212 as per below calculation. Free margin. Your free margin is now minus $2. Margin level. Your margin level has decreased to 99% as per the below calculation. At this point, your margin level is now below the margin call level. Account metrics. This is how your account metrics would look in your trading platform. Margin call. Your trading platform will automatically close out your trade. Two things will happen when your trade is closed. First is your used margin will be released. And second is your floating loss will be realized. Your balance will be updated to reflect the realized loss. Now that your account has no open positions and is flat, your free margin, equity, and balance will be the same. There is no margin level or floating profit and loss because there are no open positions. To get better understanding, see the below figure. Let's see how your trading account changed from start to finish. Before the trade, you had $1,000 in cash. Now you're left with $212. You've lost 79% of your capital as per below calculation. Percent gain or loss equals to ending balance minus starting balance divided by starting balance, multiply by 100%. Some traders suffer a terrible side effect when finding out their trade has been automatically liquidated. So this session is completed now. We have one more additional session for Margin Trading 101, where we will discuss some more trading scenario. So stay tuned.